So now we got the Cleveland Browns. And, right now, the Ravens, they drafted well. We gave them a B plus. I gave them a B plus. The Bengals got an A plus from me. What did the Browns do? Well, they traded most of their draft at the top for Deshaun Watson. So that's why they didn't pick until the third. So what? Since Deshaun Watson, I know we can look at value and everything. I don't know how to feel about Deshaun Watson. We need to see more out of him. He didn't look great last year, but it was a while not playing football. And I'm not talking about all the legal stuff. Just in general, as a football player, I don't really know what to think about him. So let's just say, for the sake of it, let's just say he's the franchise quarterback they traded for. So right off the bat, they got their guy. They move those picks. They pick 11th in the third round, so 74th overall. They go out and get your guy, Cedric Tillman, who was what I call the shadow sleeper behind Jalen Hyatt. I am not as high on Tillman as you are. I thought his tape was going to be a little bit better. I think he plays a little too slow for my liking, but you're the Browns. Okay. You have a pretty decent receiver core as it is. You went out and, oh, by the way, one of the other trades, of course, not just Deshaun Watson, but they also traded a pick for Elijah Moore. So I wanted to also put that out there. That does deserve recognition. So they go out, they get Elijah Moore, they draft Cedric Tillman to go with Donovan Peoples-Jones and Amari Cooper. They drafted David Bell last year, third round. They have Marquise go in. So they have a good receiver room. Where are you on this pick?
Cedric Tillman, Jake, they got him in the third round. I like it. I like it. Like I said, he's a speed guy. He can run, right? He's a big boy, so he can jump up and catch that football, right? I think red zone threat when I think of Cedric Tillman. So if he's able to support Deshaun Watson, like you mentioned, if he's their starting quarterback, let's give him some weapons, right? And we mentioned this, but when we look at the draft, depending on who teams pick first, you're understanding, hey, are they supporting the quarterback that they have now, or they're moving on? And so it's cool to see them double down. And Cedric Tillman, he's a ball player. You talked about him being one of those shadow players where they're behind, someone else that is getting all the limelight. Well, hey, let's give this guy a chance here, right? When it comes to the Browns, they're always in the shadow, Jake. So it's about that time for them to step out up front and figure something out there with Cedric Tillman. So I like it. I'm moving with the Cedric. I'm vibing, Jake, with the Cedric Tillman draft at round 3.
So then they take Siaki Ika or Siaki Ika. I don't know how to say his name. I apologize. But he is a defensive tackle from Baylor. So you add him, and they already have Dalvin Tomlinson. They have Jordan Elliott. They go out and they obviously they have Tristan Hill, Maurice Hurst, Perion Winfrey, the 4th round pick from last year. So they're really beefing up that defensive front, which I can't say is a bad idea. I thought Ika could have gone in the 2nd round. So I actually like this pick a lot. Then they got DeJuan Jones, who is this record-breakingly huge offensive tackle. He's almost 400 pounds. He had a really, really good Senior Bowl. I had questions. I guess he showed up to the combine lazy or over. I forget what it was, but basically DeJuan Jones at the end of the day is not a bad option for the Browns. If you're looking for a guy to plug and play, I'm not going after that archetype. Nothing against him. Almost 400 pounds. That's a very niche archetype, Cam. But when you're the Browns, you drafted Jedrick Willis, you have Joel Bitonio, Ethan Pochik, you got Wyatt Teller and Jack Conklin. You are good. You have one of the best starting 5 offensive line in the National Football League, if not the best. So I don't mind them adding some depth behind a Jedrick Wills. They also have Joe Haig, right? They have James Hudson III from last year's 2 years ago, 4th round. So I like this because in the 4th round, people had him in the 1st, people had him in the 2nd. I think it's a good pick.
Yeah, Jake, I want to see him scare people at coin toss. Right at the end of the day, this guy is huge. So you get a guy hey, step out there, take the coin toss, and just smile at people and let people know, hey, this is what you're going against. And you mentioned his size, Jake, almost 400 pounds. That's insane. So, and we also talked about it as well. Who you draft, it shows who you're doubling down on. So if you get one of the biggest guys in the draft, to block for your quarterback, that means they believe in Deshaun Watson. So I like to see that. It's more of a nod to say, hey, we want this guy. We know he's been through a lot, but we're sticking by him. So to see the biggest bodyguard that you can get to protect your quarterback, I like it. This Dewan Jones, when it comes to being able to move, Jake, right? When you're that large, it's tough to move. When your wingspan is about 89 inches, it's tough to do a lot of things. So, you know, it's going to be on the training staff to figure out, hey, let's figure out how to get you to bend a little bit more. Maybe that's, some yoga on the weekends or just certain things, but figuring out how to
Non-negotiable
get
yoga.
non-negotiable. We got to get that body to bend, buddy. So, hey, figure out how to get that done. And I'm sure Jake, when it comes to just the NFL in general, they get large guys. He just happens to be one of the largest. So figure out how to get him to move, to bend, and yeah, have him walk around with Deshaun Watson everywhere he goes. I love it. And like I said, it's you're doubling down on your people. Coming from Ohio State, blocking for CJ Stroud. He knows his job's important, right? Being that big, he knows he's gonna have to be able to, watch his diet, being able to move fluidly on a consistent basis, because this is the NFL. This is not Ohio State. And so, him having that experience, taking it to Deshaun Watson, I like what it's looking like, Jake. So, hey, let's see what the big boy can do at the NFL.
We know what this guy can do coming up next. This is our guy right here, Cam. This is both of our guys. All right. This is Isaiah McGuire, who's going to be playing defensive end out of Mizzou. He's going to be behind Obadiah Okoronkwo. He is going to, who you played with, and and he's going to be on a same, in that same room with Myles Garrett. I love this pick. I mean, I had to stop myself because, obviously, yeah, but I love this pick for real. I think that Isaiah McGuire, when you look at him as just, a guy that is one of the best block deconstructors in the draft at edge. He fits, I think, 3-4 outside linebacker, but I think he was a perfect fit for a 4-3. Just that overall body. He was a captain, so Captain Cam, you love that. But I mean, for real, he's great in the run game. He takes ownership in that, but he can rush the passer. Like, this guy has pop behind his pads. Like, he's going to make you know it. So I mean, this was my favorite pick that they had made at this point. This is an absolute A+. Should have gone probably early third round, maybe even second.
Yeah, this is my favorite, Jake. I'm gonna double down on that. Isaiah McGuire. We talk about sleepers. He's our top sleeper. We talk about the Bleav in Rams podcast, and the Rams, they need a rusher as well. He was one of our top guys too. So to see that the Browns got him, the fact that they have Myles Garrett, who you could say could be a Hall of Famer at this point, right? Maybe a walking Hall of Famer. So to complement that with a guy like Isaiah McGuire is next level. We just talked about this. A guy like Isaiah McGuire is going to be able to teach guys like Myles Garrett a trick or two, right? Myles Garrett is this all pro everything, Hall of Famer, X, Y, and Z. But a guy like Isaiah McGuire, I believe, is that skilled where he'll be able to step into the room and Myles will be like, oh, I see how you did that there, right? When you watch Isaiah McGuire's tape, you see him, just putting a clinic teach tape on some of these offensive linemen, just the way he punches people, right? He puts his hands in their chest, he extends, he rips them down, like things that you could do to like your little brother or your sibling when you're playing around. He does that to grown men on the football field. So, Isaiah McGuire playing in the SEC, we talk about this a lot of times, Jake, but most of these people that got drafted in this NFL draft are coming out of the SEC. So he's seen these players, right, when it comes to being on the defensive side. So bringing that caliber to the Browns, it's exactly what they need, Jake. So you mentioned it being one of the favorite picks for the Browns. They're definitely going to move up a grade for me for getting Isaiah McGuire. So shout out.
So I thought it was interesting that with your guy Dorian Thompson-Robinson, another one of your sleepers that you had mentioned in the 5th round. They went and got Cam Mitchell, who I think is really underrated, Northwestern corner. I thought he was underrated. I didn't think he'd get drafted. I thought he should get drafted, but I didn't. Then a team picks him in the 5th round, so good for him. Luke Whippler, who had like 2nd round grades from people I wasn't as high on, but in the 6th round, I gotta say, Cam, this Browns draft, it's pretty darn good. I mean, I think at the end of the day,
Yeah, and to get two Ohio State guys too, Jake, that's
yeah,
people don't realize that, but when you're playing with your guys, like that's it takes your game to a different level, right? Especially being a center. You can look out to your left and see the biggest man on the football field. That's just only going to increase people's will, right, to go dominate the next person. So, like you mentioned, the fact they got him in the 6th round, they're thinking they're using their nuggets there.
yeah. So, I mean, Dorian Thompson Robinson is a guy that I think he's going to outplay Kellen Mond for sure. I think he'll win that third quarterback job. Josh Dobbs has too much starting experience, which is just any starting experience in the NFL over DTR. So I think DTR is looking at a third. Probably will make the roster because if you draft a guy in the 5th round, then you're hoping he's going to make the roster. 6th and 7th, okay, maybe you're looking practice squad guy, keep him close to the vest. But no, I think 5th round kind of seals it. I mean, and he was the first 5th round pick that they made, in the 40 to 42. So this draft to me, very good. When you include the fact they got Elijah Moore, I won't include Deshaun Watson. I don't think that's necessarily fair, but
Yeah.
Elijah Moore, like that's the trade that they made for this year. And I think to get Elijah Moore, to get Cedric Tillman, Ika, Jones, McGuire, DTR, Mitchell, and Whippler, I would say A-, Cam. I thought it was a really good
Yeah.
draft haul for the Browns, and this made them better.
Yeah, no, I like the A-, Jake, and I think what people don't realize is just the trades that happen beforehand to set themselves up for success here. That bumps them to an A. So I agree with you. And then DTR as well. I think he'll make the team. He's all Pac-12, everything. Broke a lot of the records at UCLA. So I can see him competing. Right, he might have the notepad in his hand come game time. May not dress out, but I think he's going to get a valuable experience just for the people that you mentioned that are in front of him. Yeah, let's see how things go. But Browns, A for me as well, A- for me.